everyone, I'm Rich Lamont, and a very big welcome back to the channel. So as many of you know, the last few months have been a little bit rough. I had to go through a double lung transplant, but as you can see I'm back and I'm doing well. The recovery went well, the surgery went amazing. So this video I just wanted to come back and say hello to everyone and welcome you all back, and if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm going to have some new videos coming up shortly. Take a look at the ones I've got in the past. Lots of good instruction there, lots of good information. But for this video, I want to discuss lung disease and how that pertains to what it is that we do exactly. With fly tyers and bird owners, there's something that's called bird fancier's lung. That is a form of pulmonary fibrosis. Basically what happens is the silica and the chitin from the bird feathers, specifically like the pin feathers, when the birds first grow their feathers, when those feathers start to sprout actually into feathers, that little chitin sheath that the feathers formed from breaks apart and turns into a dust, along with their skin, their bird poop. That all kind of gets onto the feathers, and when we buy our feathers, they're not all clean, they're not all processed the way they should be. So, you know, those dusts can get into our lungs and become a problem. That's not what happened to me. What happened to me was a genetic deformity, so to speak. It was a genetic disease that was passed down mostly through the men's side of my family. So it's not a concern, you know, an immediate concern for me, but it is something going forward from here that is a concern. So when I tie now, I will be tying with a mask, hands down, from here on. And I do recommend that to just about anybody that ties flies, especially if you're pretty proficient at it. If you're someone that ties daily, someone that is a commercial tyer, or even tying classic flies like myself, it's very important to take care of your lung health. And looking long term, this is something that you really should consider. I know I say a lot, but so what is pulmonary fibrosis exactly? Pulmonary fibrosis and idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which is the form that I had, is the scarring of the lung tissue. So basically your body starts to attack your lungs, your alveoli sacs become scar tissue, and your lungs eventually turn into nothing but scar tissue. And as you know, scar tissue does not stretch. Once those alveoli sacs become scar tissue, the air is no longer able to be processed and passed through. So ultimately what winds up happening is you wind up suffocating to death. And I can speak from experience, it's extremely uncomfortable, it's extremely unpleasant, and very, very painful. But not just for you, it's painful for those around you to watch. Those that have to help take care of you, and there's a lot involved. It's quite, what's the word I'm looking for? It is a very nasty disease, and whatever it's brought on by, whether it's genetic, whether it's by bird feathers or the dust that's involved, or owning birds yourself, or, you know, being a breeder of any kind, it's all the same. It all eventually ends the same way, and a lung transplant is the only way to reverse it and to cure it. Otherwise there is no cure, there's no going back. Once your lung tissue is damaged, it's damaged, that's it. And as many of you have seen in my past videos, in my most recent video, which was actually just a few months ago, you know that, you know, I was on high levels of oxygen. I had 3 concentrators going, I had tanks on top of that. I was on a total of 50 liters. It was extremely difficult to breathe. And if you don't know, I did have to be life flighted from New York to Pennsylvania, to UPenn, where I was put on ECMO and life support. ECMO is it's kind of like dialysis for your lungs. Basically a machine that oxygenates your blood and removes the carbon dioxide and then filters it for you. And they have to put in ports through your neck and in your groin. and that's how the blood is filtered. It goes in one and out the other, and basically cuts out your lungs and does the work for your lungs. So that was able to keep me alive long enough to actually get the lung transplant. Now, I was extremely fortunate that I had age on my side and a very strong will to live and keep going. But I also had an incredible support network. All of you out there that came together on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and all of you came together to help not just me, but Tracy and my family to get us through this monetarily, because this is a very expensive process. Helicopters to be flown from state to state is not cheap, especially a medical flight where they have to have a medical crew that's not just a medical crew, but a medically trained flight crew. They have to be able to maintain your oxygen levels, and at 50 liters, that was difficult. They had to intubate me and put me in a coma. I don't remember the flight. I kind of wish I would have, because, well, might be my only chance to be in a helicopter, but I did have to be put out for it. And that's an expensive flight. Along with, there's treatments, and there's lots of medications, and I'm going to be on medications for the rest of my life, some which do have copays. For the most part, the majority of them are not expensive, but it does add up. There's the travel costs. Now that you can see, I'm back home. I made it home from the hospital just fine. We got home yesterday, and I do have to go back in 2 weeks, and then I have to go again 2 weeks later. So, those 4 hours each way, having to stay there overnight just to make the trip a little bit easier, all of that adds up. And, needing a place for Tracy to stay and for me to be able to stay once I got out of the hospital several weeks ago. All of you have gone above and beyond any of my expectations of human beings nowadays. We don't know how to thank you enough. Everything that you did for my family and I, it's incredible. I know I've gone and said my thank yous before, but I want to say it again now that I'm here on, I'm on the upswing. I'm doing good. I feel great. I'm going out and walking every day now. I'm going to be tying tonight. I hope to, this fly here, there's no video on it, but I am going to finish it up, and I will have a picture up on Facebook and Instagram when it's finished. But tomorrow I do hope to put up a new video, or at least start tying and filming the new video, and we'll see how it goes. I'm probably going to need a little bit of finger training, but that's okay. I'm very glad to be home. And again, if it wasn't for all of you, we wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be talking to you, and we wouldn't be here at this house. So a very big thank you to everyone. I've kind of touched on everything I wanted to touch on. I know this isn't a very long video, but I hope it was at least enough to give you guys something to think about and something to look into. And like I said, be cautious of your lung health. If you're working with your feathers, when you get your feathers, individual ones, like your barred wood duck, your teal pears, your bronze mallard, those things, those are typically cleaned, steamed, and already paired up and packaged pretty much by pair. But when you're talking about skins, or if you buy whole tails like you can see behind me, a lot of times they're not cleaned. Even if you buy like the whole Argus pheasant tail feathers or golden pheasant tail feathers, a lot of times they're not cleaned properly. So when you get your feathers, make sure that they're cleaned, make sure they're steamed, they're properly dried and packaged. These back behind me here have all been cleaned. They are a little bit dusty from sitting around for a little while, so they will be taken outside and kind of run through. But everything has been cleaned, everything's packaged, and I do recommend that you all do the same. When it comes to your skins, be very careful with your skins. Use a mask or even a respirator if you're plucking and just selecting your feathers. Once your skins are put away, then you can go ahead and take your masks off. But use that little bit of extra caution. That could really help you in the long run. You may not see the effects immediately, but after years and years and years, it can take a toll. There was a very famous fly tyer by the name of William Blacker, who also tied under the pen name Ephemera. He has a section in one of his books. Grab the book real quick. This book here, The Art of Fly Making. He touches on lung disease a little bit. I'll give you the spine a little bit better if you can see it. He touches on lung disease a little bit. That is something that he did wind up suffering from. So I imagine back in the day, they didn't have the precautions or the medical advances that we have today. But still, it was a concern then. It's something that, you know, we can see through history. So it's something that you should all definitely pay attention to. I don't want to see anything like this happen to any of you. This is a very unfortunate disease. It's terrible. It's nasty. That's the only real word that comes to mind, is that it's nasty. But, you know, should any of you ever wind up sick, you should ever wind up having, you know, the unfortunate experience of having to go through this, please, by all means, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can. I'll give you as much information as I possibly can. If there's something I don't know, there's someone that I probably do know that has the answer. Whether it's a pulmonologist, whether it's a surgeon, you know, one of my regular doctors. You know, I've talked with a lot of people over the last few months and gotten a lot of help. You know, it's something that I can help you all with. So, you know, and even if you don't have disease or you know someone that does, as I said, pulmonary fibrosis is not just about feathers and lung disease involving birds. There's many different forms. There's many different ways that it can come about. So, you know, there are IPF support pages, there's forums, there's all different places that you can look up information. But I'm always willing to help wherever I can. So, just keep that in mind. And, you know, mind your own lung health. And, of course, your regular health. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope that you learned something from this. And, you know, you take a little bit away from it that you can kind of keep in the back of your mind and use in the future. So, that's all for now. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care and have yourselves a great afternoon.